Well, welcome back to the channel. Good to see you again. So I usually been staying away from doing electrical work, but this one was just too good to pass up. So on this Jeep rack here, this is a 2014 JK Rubicon, and you know I did a video. We've been doing some differential work on it. Had everything kind of working, and then those of you, this is for those of you who have JK Rubicons with the factory lockers in it. And I hate blinking lights on my dash, or unnecessarily on lights in my dash. And when I turn the rear locker on, the locker light comes on, but it flashes, and it never goes solid. And all us JK owners know when it's solid, it's saying, hey, it's locked. Well, that's not always true. In this case, it wasn't true at all. And the funny thing is, I don't need an idiot light on the dash to tell me if my locker is locked when I'm off-road, because you know it's not locked. You're not making any forward progress, only one tire spinning. There's all kinds of indications to let you know that locker isn't locked. But in your shop, what you can do, just put your floor jack underneath whichever end is having the problem, front end, rear end. And then make sure you chock the other tire, right? And you got to be really careful, because you're going to put this thing in four-wheel drive, and you're still going to have two wheels on the ground, so it will move in your shop if you're not careful doing this. And just jack it up, put it in four-wheel drive low range, because you got to go low range, turn the lockers on. And then see if the tires are up, see if it rotates. If it rotates, it's not locked, okay? Easy as that. And even better, if it's rotating, one tire is rotating one direction, the tire on the other side should be rotating opposite direction. That's open differential. That is the definition of open differential. But you go, then start your vehicle, or put the key on, and just turn the locker on for the front end or back end, the one that you're concerned about, and then go and try and turn tire. If the tire doesn't turn, it's locked. Why can't it turn? Because it's attached to the other end that's on the ground, okay? It can't. And then you turn that off, the tire will spin free. So now you know that your locker is working just fine. The problem is the idiot light. The switch in your differential's not operating properly. Unless somebody else knows different, the only way to change that sensor out is you got to pull the carrier, which means you got to pull the axles, which means you got to pull the brakes, calipers off. It's a ton of work. And if you go to a shop, they're going to charge you 4 or 5 hours at $165 an hour to change an idiot light sensor. Too much money, way too much money. So I did some research on this, and this works for the front end and the back end. It doesn't matter front or back locker, they're the same. There's 4 wires that come in a harness down to your differential. 2 wires are for the electric locker, and the other 2 wires are for the sensor. And these wires are separate from each other, okay? They are absolutely separate from each other. So what you need to do, if you want to just wire around this thing and get that idiot light to stop blinking, right? You want it to just be on. When the locker's on, have the light on, and when the locker's off, have the light off. So essentially what we're going to do, we're going to change the meaning of that light. Because the camera's doing something. The meaning of that light from the factory is that the locker has engaged, right? Well, we know whether it's engaged or not because you're off-road, it's either working or it's not. You can just look at your rear tires, do a sharp turn, see if the inside tire is skidding, right? All this does, it says, is going to tell you now is that you push the button and that you have power to the locker when the light's on solid. And that's what we're going to switch the logic to. You know power is going to your locker. Whether it's on or not, you just have to use, go old school. You can do it by feel. So let me show you what we got here. You can switch this issue with an old-fashioned relay. That's a relay. These are only a couple of bucks. And you get one with the tab on it because this is going to be screwed on way up on your chassis, up and out of the way. And you're going to do this at the differential. And if you can go to Amazon or other places and try to find one that's waterproof. And the other thing, if you can't find the waterproof one will come with the relay plug. This is a standard relay plug here. And what you want to do is just going to plug this relay into a plug like that. And on the relay, if you look, this one's been through a lot, but it actually shows you how it's wired. And so far, these things they're all the same. And really what this is, if you're not familiar with it, it's just an electronic switch. It's a toggle switch, that's all it does. So it has pin 85 and pin 86. That's these two wires right here. And they're labeled on here. And actually, if you look at the bottom of the relay, super tiny, it would say 85 and 86. And you take pin 85 and 86 and you tee these two wires into the two wires going to your locker. And that is the switch side. That's the electronic switch side of the relay, okay? Then there's pin 87, which would probably be this one. And then they call it pin 30, which would be the other side. If you did a continuity check, you would see that it's an open circuit. They're not touching each other. But what happens when you put power onto this, in other words, I'm hooking this to the locker wiring, you put power on the white wire and this orange one here, it will then turn the switch on and connect these two wires together. That's all this does. It's really slick. So essentially, turn the locker on, you get power, these two connect to each other, and then the idiot light on your dash goes solid. So you hook this wire and this one to each of one wire of the two wires that are going to your sensor, and you have to tap a T in to that, and then this will basically bypass the sensor. It's literally that simple. If you don't have a waterproof one, here's what I did. I took some RTV, that stuff you'd use to put your diff cover on, and I shoved it down all these little holes here. And then I also gooped it all the way around where it comes together, and I just let it sit and harden. Yeah, and that's what I use to seal it. You're going to want a pigtail, maybe about 18 inches or more. Depends how much suspension drop that you have, because this thing's, you want to get as high as you can to keep it away from as much water as you possibly can in the back. And then there's some cross member stuff that support the tub up there. You can, sheet metal. You just get a sheet metal screw and screw this tab onto there. But I had to do a video, short video on this because it's just going to save you a ton of money to do it this way over other option, which is to pull your differential out. And then later I'm going to get into, I have a new toy. It's a all module bi-directional scan tool. I decided to get into that. Boy, it's already paid for itself. And we can show you how to also diagnose your locker situation on these JKs. But so anyways, I thought I'd do just a real quick video. If you have any questions, leave some comments. There are YouTube videos with very detailed drawings. If you're not used to reading circuits, which I have some experience at, specifically with relays. I've done a lot of work with relays on past projects. But yeah, on a JK, you can just use that relay. The other thing that you hear, you can just get a switch, run a wire, all the way, find that and route it through the switch on your dash. And I think that's going to be probably more work than just do the relay, because you can do this relay right at the differential. You don't have to run any wires through your Jeep, and you don't have to drill a hole, put a switch in there, or buy a switch setup. But yeah, this is the way to do it. Now, if you have a JL JT, that's I think a 2018, 2019 and on. That's different. If your idiot light is blinking and it thinks the locker's not working, what that's going to do is not lock the locker, and it'll throw a check axle or locker error code at you. And for those, there's two companies out there making a bypass pigtail connector. Unplug yours, plug it into the back of theirs, and plug theirs back into your differential, and it'll bypass that. But that is a little bit different logic. So anyways, that's what I had to cover today. If you have any questions, concerns, just leave it in your comments. Look forward to it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe or like. It really helps my channel. And I try to do that for all the YouTube channels I watch. Until then, we'll see you later.